Good afternoon and welcome to the 7th session of TCCA today. I am so glad that all of y'all were able to come out and make it today. And for our 7th session here in the 7th TCCA room, we have Miss Kathy Hughes. And without any further ado, go ahead and take it away.
Hi y'all, so my name is Kathy Hughes. I am at Owens Elementary here in Cy-Fair, and this is my 7th year as a teacher. So what I'm presenting today is EdPuzzle in the blended classroom. This has been one of my favorite tools, especially right now with this year, how crazy it's been. And so here's my Twitter handle just real quick, and then if you want access to the presentation, it's bit.ly EdPuzzle blended, and just make sure the E, the P, and the B are capitalized. It is case sensitive. So let's get right into it. So what is EdPuzzle? With EdPuzzle, it's short way of putting it, it's a video platform. And what you do with it is you deliver your content for your students. And throughout the video lesson, you can assess your students. You can give feedback to your students, and then they can also give feedback to you as they answer questions. And the best part is it takes data for you. So one of the reasons why I started using this was because when I first started just doing video lessons or started recording myself, if ever I was out with a sub, my kids didn't really pay attention because they just either fast forwarded the video or they just wouldn't play the video. So then my way of getting them to kind of have that, that making sure they would answer questions or making sure that they understood the content was asking them questions throughout the video. So with EdPuzzle, besides just being a video platform for you to ask questions to your students can work at their own pace. So that's another one of my favorites. They can rewatch the video as much as they want, but they can't skip. And then with your English language learners, one of the cool things is that EdPuzzle does have closed captioning. So they can read along with it. And this is also for your kiddos that need to be reading so that they can kind of take in that knowledge. You can also view student progress, like I was saying earlier, and you can give feedback. So cool story, my EdPuzzle got updated because I switched over from an elementary school from Hoover to Owens. And so all of my data is gone. So I just went through and got some screenshots as quickly as I could. But basically, this is what it would look like. When you go into a video lesson, what happens is you can click on the assignment and it'll show you, so-and-so is completely done. This is their grade. This other person, they're kind of watching the video. They're on this question. So what I like about this is you can go in individually, and as the kids are answering questions, you can go in and give them that feedback. So you can type in, make sure that you're going back, and let's say that because I'm a science teacher, go back and check your study guide or go back and check the interactive word wall. So you can give feedback to them. And then I'll show you guys in a little bit, but one of your question types could be, hey, how is it going in the lesson? So your students can give you feedback through EdPuzzle as well. So the way that you either create a lesson is going to be finding a video in. So what happens is once you log into EdPuzzle, right here on let me see if you guys can see it. Kind of lagging on my end. There it is. Okay. So once you log into your EdPuzzle, on the side, what you'll see is, if I can get there. There it is. You'll see videos from YouTube, Khan Academy, Nat Geo if you're a science teacher, and you have all these different channels. You can also go in and search your content here. So let's say I want a video lesson on, photosynthesis. And when I say lesson, I want to say just, when I say lesson, I mean you have a video to engage your kids, and then you're asking questions throughout that video. So it's not just your kids watching the video. There's an objective to it. There's a point to it. And then it kind of gives you, again, that way to see, okay, so-and-so is getting it, but this person might not be understanding it. So let me do another lesson with them or reteach. So it's a really good way to take that data in for your kids. So once you go in here, you get your videos, you go through, you choose those, and then you can assign the lessons. And I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. But right now, I just kind of want to show you the features and then give you guys some updates. For me, I started simple. I just started with my hover cam. Used to be a ladybug at some point, but with my hover cam, I would just go through and create video lessons, you know, get my little composition notebook and then do the lesson that way, and then upload the video into EdPuzzle. And again, ask those questions throughout. And there's different types of questions that you can ask your kids. So those are features we're going to explore in a little bit. Recently, though, like with all this ed tech coming out, there's a lot of other ways that you can do it. One of my favorites is WeVideo. So with WeVideo, you can make your videos using content from WeVideo if you have the license. So it gives you really cool graphics, basically. Or again, it's a really cool editing video platform. You can do Screencastify, so where you record your screen, and that one, WeVideo, I know for me with Sci-Fair, we have to take a class to get the full access to it. With Screencastify, it is free. There is the platinum version and all that, but with Screencastify, I think it's like a 5-minute limit, whereas WeVideo, it's a bit longer. And then one that just came out recently that they posted on Twitter at some point, it's Explain Everything. So I haven't played with this one, but my plan is to play with this one sometime during my break. But it's basically a whiteboard, but all amped up. So it's a whiteboard, and then you can add images, you can add animations. It's really cool. So I like I said, I haven't played with it. If anyone has, if y'all could give some feedback on the chat, that would be great. I will be messing with it this year, though, because just from the little preview that they gave on the EdPuzzle blog, I was like, oh my God, I can do that. And then, like I said, if you don't want to reinvent the wheel, you can always just go into EdPuzzle. You can search for a video there. If you have an EdPuzzle through your school district, then, and I'll show you guys mine, then you can go in here and you can go into your schools. So for me, I'm at Owens. Let me see if I can find it. And then here's the teachers that might have a video on there already. So I know for a fact Miss Lacewell has one. So she's got some videos, and you know what? We're in the same grade level. I want to just reuse that video and the questions too. Why not? I'm going to go in, click, and then I'm going to copy and add it to my content. So that's another way that you can create your lessons. You can also go in and edit that video that you've already copied. So, and I'll go back in a little bit and show you guys how to do that. So there's different ways to upload and create your videos on EdPuzzle. If you're just starting with something like EdPuzzle, my suggestion would be either search something already within the platform or start easy with a document camera. And then if you want to further expand and go in and play with WeVideo, Screencastify, whatever platform you feel comfortable with, because that's the other thing. EdTech is great, but you have to make sure that you're comfortable with it, because if you're not comfortable with it, then your kids are not going to be comfortable with it either. So some quick updates from EdPuzzle. This year with COVID and all that stuff coming out, EdPuzzle came up with some really cool new updates. And some of y'all might already know this. It might have already been talked about in another session, but really quickly. So video events. It used to be where when you would edit a video in EdPuzzle, you know, you had to go back and rewatch so that you can make your edits. But with the video events, it has a little, let me show you. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this one. So this one right here is a bad example. Let me show you one that I've already edited. Here, we did money at some point in 2nd grade. So I'm going to go through and find one that I can edit. There it goes. So the events are here on the side, and then I can go through and click on the different video events. So if I don't want to go through the whole video or like take my chances and guess on, oh, which second I want my edit to be on, then I can go here into my event timeline, and it'll already tell me, oh, you know what, over here you had that question about how many students left in the library. So I'm going to go here and it'll take you to the video, and then I can edit from there. So that's something that's really cool. It's just like a little history tab essentially. The other cool thing, and I'll go in and show you with that with one of the other videos that was blank. You can also now insert audio and voiceovers, and this is one of my favorite things for my English language learners. So every year I have either the bilingual class or the ESL class, and they need the vocabulary. So with the vocabulary, I usually, have my kids repeat it, but I go in and I read it for them and then slowly wean them off. Well, with the audio and voiceover features on EdPuzzle, let's say that I have a student that they really need oral administration, and it could be someone else other than ELO, obviously, but let's say that they need oral admin for EdPuzzle or for a read aloud or for anything else. Then you can go in, do your question, and then add the audio. And I'll show you guys how to do all of these in a second. I just want to, again, go through the updates and then show you. And then I added the closed caption simply because it's not a new update this year, but it was a new update last year, but it's something that is really beneficial to your kids that need to see the words. The other two updates that have come up recently is Google Drive. You can now upload your videos directly from Google Drive, whereas before you had to download and then upload, and it just took forever. It still takes a while to upload the videos, but it's less time consuming. And then if you do Screencastify now also has the option to immediately directly upload to EdPuzzle from Screencastify. So it all depends on what platforms you're using. Talk about Apps Match in a little bit. I'm going to kind of walk you guys through a little bit of what the EdPuzzles updates look like. So give me 1 second to upload that. Okay. So what I wanted to show you guys was the multiple cuts. I'm going to go through in this video. I already blanked it out. It's purely the video. When you go through and you upload a video, like I was showing you in this slide, it kind of does take a little bit of time. So that's why I'm not uploading right now. But you go through, you either choose a file from your computer or from Google Drive, and then it takes a minute to upload. Once it's there, you click on this little icon, the little checkbox, and then click edit. This video is from one of our science coaches in Fair, Leslie Jackson. And what she did was she went to her backyard to show different plant adaptations. And so our 5th graders are going through the video, and I want them to answer questions about different structures and functions. But maybe the whole video might not be relevant. This one was, but just an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play. And then once I find what I want to cut, let's say it's over here, I'm going to add a cut there. And then I'm going to keep playing to see what I need or what I don't need. Let's pretend I don't need, these few seconds right here. I'm going to add a cut. And then the next few seconds I might not need, so I can cut that part out. So the cool thing about this, and I'm just adding random cuts right now, but the cool thing about this is that if, let's say you find a video from YouTube or from Crash Course or any other channel that you might want to use, but you don't want your kids to watch the whole thing, like let's say you're doing this, the plant adaptations. I might need my kids to know just the basic plant adaptations, like the leaves or the tendrils or whatever, but then maybe she's talking about spines. Well, my kids are not there yet. I don't want them to hear that part. I'm going to go through and, like I'm showing you, is going through and cutting what I don't need, cutting that part out. So I'm just doing a ton of random cuts right now just to kind of show you the example. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish. And that shortened my video from like 5 minutes to 3 minutes and 36 seconds. So it's only showing what you want your kids to see. So that's one of the new updates that they have. That one is one of my favorites just because a lot of the times you'll find videos that are super long and again, it's not relevant to your kids. And that if it's not relevant, they're not going to be engaged, or you're teaching beyond what you should be teaching or something that's above their heads. So I'm going to go back to edit. And I'm going over here to the questions. So with the questions, one of the features that I was talking about earlier was the voiceover, the audio and voiceover. Let's say I want to add an open-ended question right here. I'm going to add my open-ended question here. sorry, it's my note. I'm gonna add my open-ended question here or wherever else you want to, but here where you have your note, you're gonna click on the little microphone. The microphone is going to allow you to record, and I don't know if it'll let me do it right now since we're on StreamYard, but let me try. Okay, this is my example. We're doing an open-ended question on here prior to posting the question. And let's see if it worked. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but. So I would post my question here, save it. Takes a second. And then I would ask question. So what other adaptations? I'll type it in. Can you see? Explain your thinking. So that's what I would have said in the little audio, and then the kids would come in and they would see the question, but they already know the question because it's already been read to them. So let's see how this looks. And if you look, those video events are already coming up to show what changes I am making. Did it at the beginning. So here's where prior to the question, they would hear the note. Let's pretend they heard the whole thing. And then there's the question. And then the kids could type in their answer, click continue. Okay. One of the other things that might be beneficial would be the voiceover. Let's say that you want the video, but then you don't. And this one's not a new update. This is just something puzzle. But let's say that you want your kids to listen to your voice instead of whoever's on the video. Then that's where you would go to your voiceover and then start recording yourself doing that voiceover. I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Let me go back to the presentation. So again, really quickly, you can upload videos from Google Drive and from Screencastify. So the way that looks is like this. I'm going to go to my content, go here, and I'll let you guys play with this in a little bit. And I'm going to add content. I'm going to upload a video, and this is where you could go to your Google Drive. So Google Drive, click your account. And then it's going to show you a list of all my videos on Google Drive. I might already know which one I want. So polygon. I think I have one on. Labeling a polygon. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click select, and then it's right there. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel because again, it takes a second to upload. But once it's there, that's when you can go through and do all of your edits. So that's one way to upload. Delete content. The other way to upload is going to be through, and I'm just going to open a new tab, Screencastify. And so what you do is into your recordings. And I'm just going to select the first video. Now here where it says share, I actually had to go in and make that change. So you would go to more options, add more options, and then find your EdPuzzle on and off switch. So you just click EdPuzzle. You can upload directly into Google Classroom, all that fun stuff. And then once that's done, then you can go through in your recordings and directly add to your EdPuzzle. So I'll go through and I'll just add this one just so you guys can see. Upload to EdPuzzle. And then it'll ask you where do you want it and so on. And you would go ahead and upload from there. So close out my tabs so I don't have too much going on. So those are the updates. The App Smash. App Smash is just a fancy way of saying, how am I going to integrate other things into my EdPuzzle if, let's say, you want to make it more interactive? Because with EdPuzzle, like I said, it's a great way to deliver your content. I would like it to be a little bit more interactive. So for me, I like to go in and I like to embed assignments within my EdPuzzle. So what you do, let's go back to this plant adaptations one. I'm going to edit. Okay. Let's say I am on my questions and I'm picking just a random spot, right? So here's where I'm going to ask one of my questions, right? Oh, wait, I moved it. Sorry. There it goes. Silly me. So this is where I want to add a question. I'm going to do open-ended question. You could do your multiple choice questions just, right here. You would type in your question and then give it. That part is really good. I like doing the open-ended just because for me, I like to know how my kids are going to explain what they're learning. To me, that's going to be more beneficial than the multiple choice. But the multiple choice, I'll go back to because it is really good for the data if you're doing a type of assessment. So open-ended question, let's pretend I want to add Flipgrid. I want to app smash with Flipgrid. They're learning about plant adaptations, and I want them to go find an example in their garden or at a park or anywhere in their community with parent permission, and then tell me about it. So I'm going to go into my EdPuzzle, and then I'm going to say, for example, click here for Flipgrid assignment. And then I'm going to highlight that and then add a hyperlink to my Flipgrid. And if you're not familiar with Flipgrid, what it is, it's another type of video platform where you pose a question and then your students can record their responses. It's a really neat feature. What this does, once you create the question, let's say save. When your students go in and they click on Flipgrid, that video on EdPuzzle is going to stop. So one of the really cool things about EdPuzzle is that, let's say your students are watching a video lesson. They're supposed to be watching a video lesson, but then they want to go research something else, or they might get distracted and try to search something else up online. They can't do that because the video will stop. So what this does is it'll take them, for example, to the Flipgrid assignment, they complete it, and then you just teach them to go back to their tabs and then come back to the EdPuzzle so that they can then continue with the video lesson. So let me continue that. There's other things that you can do. You can include things like Padlet, which is, again, posing a question, but you want them to collaborate with other students. And that's a cool thing with these app smashes. It's a way to make EdPuzzle, one, a little bit more interactive, and then also make it collaborative. If you guys are using Schoology, yay, Schoology. That has not been the greatest thing so far, but you know what? It is what we're doing, and we are working with it, and we are making it work in the classroom as much as we can. So one of the cool things that you could do is you could create a discussion in your Schoology, and I created just a little sandbox in my Schoology. And this is just if you're using Schoology. I'm going to go in and create a discussion. So add materials, add discussion. Or test discussion. I'm going to go in and add my question for my discussion. Due date, all that fun stuff that you want to do. And then I'm going to click create. I'm going to click on the test discussion. And then I'm going to copy this URL. And what's going to happen when you do that is when your students are answering that discussion question, it'll take them to that discussion assignment. And it'll just be for their class. So let's say they're in another class and somehow, some way they got the URL for the assignment. They won't be able to do it because they're not part of your class. So I'm going to go through and let's say I want to add the question here or the activity here. Let me do school. And then I'm going to highlight it. Again, hyperlink. That hyperlink is your best friend. I'm going to copy paste it, click OK, and then click save. So then when your kids go in to do the activity, all they have to do is click Schoology discussion. Let's see if this works because there's. And it'll take them straight to the discussion where they can then answer the questions. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this one is because, again, it's collaborative. Because yes, you can answer all the questions on EdPuzzle and then just look through EdPuzzle, take the data, and be done. But for me, it's going to be a lot about how can I use EdPuzzle, one, to deliver the content, and two, to make sure that it's collaborative for my kids. Okay. And then lastly, Google Drive. Anything, Google Slides, if you want them to do some type of group project together, Google Docs, Google Drawings, Jamboard, whatever you want to use, you can go in, share the link, and then upload that link into those open-ended questions. Okay. The other type of question, like I said, I was going to go back on this one. That video keeps playing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a multiple choice question. And if you're new to EdPuzzle, then this is just easy breezy. This is how you start. You ask your question. You can include images, all that fun stuff. And then you go in here. This is my correct answer. My incorrect answer. What I love about EdPuzzle is here's my feedback for them. I'm going to click on the little feedback loop, and then I'm going to type in, I'm not going to type in you're doing great. If they got it correct, maybe I might ask something for them to ask or to answer that's going to show me, oh, they really do understand and they have a deep understanding. So let's say it's plant adaptations and they said something about tendrils. I could say, great job. So I'm still going to acknowledge that they're doing a great job. On a sticky note, all my kids love me. They're like, oh, she's asking more questions. On a sticky note, write another example of tendrils. Could even add a meme. So a lot of the kids, especially in 5th grade, they like the memes. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to add my picture. I can search a meme and just do the URL and then click OK. So that when my kids finish that. So that when my kids go in and answer that question, they will see if they got it correct. It'll give them that feedback of, oh, good job. Go in and do the sticky note, or they'll just see the meme that says just, oh, awesome sauce. Going. So those multiple choice questions are pretty good in that aspect. They give the kids that feedback. And then earlier, with coming back to feedback, I was talking about the kids being able to give you feedback. This is where you could say, for example, do a multiple choice question. You can ask, how are you feeling so far? And then give them those options. You can go in and you can add an open-ended question and ask them to type, hey, how are you feeling about the content so far? Are you understanding this? Make sure that you're looking at your word wall. Give them all of those. And then ask them, hey, go ahead and answer and send me back their feedback of what you think of the video lesson, or what would you do differently, or things like that that are going to make them think above and beyond what they're learning that day. So making sure that they're deepening that knowledge. And then this is just a really quick list of EdPuzzle integrations. How do we use it? How can we use it in the classroom? I try to do a blended model. I'm not a blended model guru or anything like that, but I love to deep dive into it and try it out with my students. So I started out with just rotations, and all that is especially if you're math or reading, you just do your rotations, they're timed, and they each go to a station. One of my stations is usually EdPuzzle to front load the information that they might be learning, or I can review a concept if, let's say, Johnny, he didn't understand plant adaptations. Then I'm going to go back and I might assign him a different video to kind of help reteach or review that concept. But, Susan, she understood the content. She's ready to move on, or she's ready to dive deeper into adaptations, and I could assign her a different video. So you can individually assign to students as well through whatever your LMS, whether it's Schoology, Google Classroom, Canvas, whatever you're using in your district. And then you can have your students create projects. This one, I would say it's more like for your GT kids, or if it's a project that's going to be ongoing, that's going to be a while, or your high school students. But what you can do is, go to EdPuzzle. I'm going to scroll down. I've already kind of created one, but my content, you would go here to add content and then do student project. When you click on that, you're going to title it. Let's say I want them to create, and this is actually one of the assignments, but I'm pretending it's mine. You're going to create a plant. So create a video on another type of plant adaptation. That is my instruction, sorry. Plant adaptation. All of the project, instructions, I could say create a video on plant adaptations using other examples, yada, yada. Once you're done, you click Save Project, and for you, it shows up here at the bottom. And what this does is you go in, you assign it, you're going to assign it to your class, and then click Assign. Now, this is if you have something like Google Classroom. I will show you in a second how to assign through Schoology if you're using Schoology. And then if you guys are using other platforms, y'all can type it in the chat, and it might be something similar. But you go in, you assign it. And then for you as a teacher, you can then see what videos the kids are creating, what questions your kids are creating. It's pretty neat. But again, this is more if your kids are already familiar with EdPuzzle, if you think they can handle it, if they're the GP class or high schoolers, middle schoolers, that would be really good for them as well. So before we explore, I told you I would show you how to do it on Schoology, and this is the reason why I created the Sandbox course. So I had an old coworker of mine message me and say, you know what, I completely didn't sync my EdPuzzle. So let's see what we do. So with mine, it's already linked, but you would click, if you're in Schoology, you would click on your EdPuzzle here on the side, on the left column, and then it would ask you to sign in. Mine is already signed in, so I think it's gonna, yeah, see it says you're all set, ready to create a class on EdPuzzle. Okay. And then this shows up. This is not where you assign your assignments. You might also have Schoology set up in a way where you have to go into your resources and then go to your apps. Let it load. And then you would go in and add it as an app. That's another way, but Sci-Fair does it a little bit differently. So ours is within our courses. So let me go back. There it is. Okay. Now that it's synced, it's ready to go, I actually need to go here into my EdPuzzle first. And you only have to do this the one time. You go into your account. And I hate that I kind of switched over my EdPuzzle prior to the presentation because y'all can't see any of my old progress on there, but it's okay. So you go into your account, you click on your name, and then here you go to, I believe it is, yep, here it goes. You go into school, you update all of your stuff on there. Here to an LMS, you're going to go to select LMS. You're going to click on your, whatever your platform is. So for me, it's Schoology. And then you're going to copy these in. You only have to do this the one time. And what I mean by copy is you're going to go in here, go to materials. You're going to add your material. You're going to click on EdPuzzle. So remember, like I said, you don't add your EdPuzzle from here, and you cannot assign directly from inside EdPuzzle if you're using Schoology. So once I'm in here, again, it's not going to ask me because my Schoology is already set up in my account. But at some point, it asks you to give the consumer key and the shared secret. And you only have to do that the one time. Once you're there, you've synced everything, it's ready to go. Then you can go in, you view your videos. Here's the video we were editing. I'm going to click on my eye. There's a preview of my video, and then I'm going to click Assign. Right here, the prevent skipping. You can prevent skipping. You can let them fast forward. I'm not going to let them fast forward just because they're little. I don't want them to just go through and say, oh, Miss Hughes, I'm done. Click Assign. And it's right here. The kids are going to click here. For you to see the progress, though, you do have to go into your EdPuzzle. You go into your classes, and you would go in here. into whatever your class is. So this one was the EdPuzzle session, just the sandbox course. Right here, it says no one has turned it in. I have no students assigned to this course, so it's going to always stay at 0/0. But let's say I have 10 students in that class. I'm going to click on there, and right here, it would show their progress. This is where we would go back to, and let me just go back to the little screenshot. You would see this. You would see a green bar if they're completely done, their grade. You can click on that and then give them feedback through this little screen right here. Okay, let me see before I let you guys mess around with it real quick. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some time to explore, and then at around 2:45, I'll take questions. I know I give you guys a lot of information, so just any questions that y'all have, and I'm also going to hop onto the chat right now and just see if you guys have any as you're exploring. So if you don't have an EdPuzzle, you can go in and create your account, choose your school, find your school, and then if you want to do the referral code, that helps me because then I get 3 extra videos that I can do, up to you. But choose your school and content and then connect to your LMS. So make sure that you're going through and you're going here into your little icon, click on your name, and then make sure that you connect to your school. So I'm going to go ahead and exit here. And I'm going to go in and hop onto the chat if you guys have any questions. But at this time, if you guys want to use this time to just kind of explore EdPuzzle and then ask questions as well, if you'd like.
I also put the bit.ly into the chat.
There it is.
So y'all can put that. And so, yeah.
Let me share my screen again. That kicked me out. Oops.
The referral code, the link that I dropped.
Oh, the referral code is, if you click on if you go into bit.ly and you click on where it says referral code, it'll hyperlink it to you. And then that way it'll just give you, you don't have to use it. That's just me trying to get extra videos.
I do know that I saw in the chat, Kathy, that a lot of them were very appreciative of how you were modeling all of this for them.
I needed to. That's how I learned too, because anything that's ed tech, any type of learning really, but for me, I have to do it. And then, yes, I can show you real quick. So for the questions to be read aloud, you would go into whatever video you're editing. So let me go into my video real quick. Just show you real quick. Oh, it's already done. Let me see if I can edit another one. Sorry. Oh no, it's not letting me go back in. Give me 1 second. Be nice to me, please, computer. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I'm gonna edit that one. Okay, so let's say I want to go in and I want to add the option to read aloud to my kids, because a lot of our kids really do need low in their reading. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a note. In my notes, I could say something like, listen to the following question, or I could have the question on there. And then here at the bottom, there's a little teeny tiny microphone. You're going to click on the microphone. And now I'm going to say, listen to the following question. It's going to display on the next, segment, and make sure you answer it. Then I'm going to click stop, and then I'm going to click save. Once I do that, then I can go ahead. And add my question. So it could be an open-ended question or those multiple choice questions. And then that's when I would add whatever it is that I said in the note question. just because, again, you have kiddos that sometimes are going to struggle with the reading, or you want them to hear the vocabulary because you want them to hear how it's being used at that moment or in the content. Yeah.
So I have
Go ahead.
one question for you.
Yes.
If I was a new EdPuzzle user, what is your number one recommendation?
My number one recommendation is start simple, because it starts to get overwhelming with all the app smashing and all the video editing. Start simple. With me, I started with just a document camera. Then I learned about, oh, I can screen share. Cool. Let me screen share. But just start simple, because and then you can add on to it, because otherwise it gets too overwhelming.
And just curious, do you have like an EdPuzzle per day, or do you kind of sprinkle them in?
It depends. So for science, it kind of lends itself to where we do stations either midweek or on a Friday, depending on the lesson. But I do it whenever we do rotations. And it's if I see, we're doing the plan adaptations, because that's what I'm going to keep going back to. Half of my kids didn't get that. I need to pull a small group and reteach it. But then the other kids got it. Well, then they're ready for me to give them the next segment or the next lesson. I can front load that information to them through EdPuzzle, so that when we do that lesson, they already have the vocabulary, or they're at least familiar with it, and they kind of have a preview of what the lesson is about.
Miss Foster, I will be putting the super secret word in about 3 minutes. Actually, you know what? We're in the Q&A session, so I'm just going to put it up there.
Ooh, I like my word. That's a good word.
Well, I mean, because like video, it really does empower.
It does. It does. And like I said, with EdPuzzle, like once you do get comfortable with it, you can go in and add other things like Flipgrid or Padlet or anything in Schoology or whatever platform you're using, because then you're also making it interactive. That's one of the downsides that I did see at the beginning. I'm like, well, there's not really a way for my kids to interact when they're doing this, but they might be working in a group. Well, then you add in things like Flipgrid, Padlet, yada, yada. And then it is interactive.
I like that, yeah. What initially drew you to EdPuzzle? What?
Honestly, it was I did have a family emergency a while ago. My kiddo was epileptic, and I kept having to do lesson plans, and my kids were not sure what I was talking about the next day. I was like, oh, okay, so you guys went over this, right? And they're like, no, or we didn't get it, or we skipped over it. So then what I started doing was recording my lessons. Well, recording my lessons didn't help either, because again, they either didn't listen to it or they just were skipping through it. And then Manny, and he's doing some sessions here today on with TCCA as well.
Manny.
Love Manny.
Love Manny.
Love Manny. He introduced me to it, and I took one of his courses, and I was like, and that's what I'm doing from now on. So EdPuzzle is one of my big ones for my kids, and I've been using it at this point for 7, so like I want to say 4 years.
Oh, so you were an early adopter.
Yeah.
So you've seen it grow into this amazing program.
Yes. Oh, when they came out with the cuts, I was like, oh, thank you, because I would go into the video editing platforms and go like, okay, cut this, and that saves so much more time.
And so, a little funny story about Manny. I actually met him here at TCCA. I had to do an emergency presentation. The presenter just did not come, and Manny and I connected over the years. And yeah, no, it's we message each other through Twitter every once in a while now.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's usually one of my, hey, how do I do this? Hey, is there a way to make sure my kids are doing this, and this? And he's a really great resource for y'all, for sure.
I was just thinking, so what would you add to EdPuzzle if you could?
besides some interactive things within EdPuzzle, that would be great. I would want to do where the kids can answer back with their voice, kind of like what they do with Flipgrid, but doing a voiceover, but for them. Like, oh, hey, what's the answer to this question? And then they could talk, because that's going to help the kids with oral skills as well, especially if you have your English language learners. That would be one of my favorites if they could.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Doyle. I'll talk a little bit louder. I tend to mumble. Is that a little bit better? I hope so.
And again, if you guys are messing with EdPuzzle right now, another really easy way to add those videos that are already there, because at the very beginning, you don't really want to reinvent the wheel too much because there's already so much out there anyway. Just make sure that you're looking in the EdPuzzle right here on the little menu where it says EdPuzzle, YouTube, all that stuff.
That's awesome. For those of y'all that are still with us, looks like we still got like 60 some odd people in here. So I absolutely love EdPuzzle. I used it when I was a biology teacher. I still use it a little bit as a DLS, and it's one of my top 4 or 5 programs that I would definitely suggest to teachers. It gets a little tricky, Ms. Donaldson. The EdPuzzle integration can be done. Personally, I prefer to still run it through EdPuzzle, but go ahead, reach out to your DLS, and they will be, if you're an Aldine, reach out to your DLS, and they can definitely show you how to get it going.
Mm-hmm. And then Susanna, for the code for Schoology, you're gonna go here into your icon that mine has just a little person. You're gonna click on your name, and then you're gonna go to school. You scroll down and you click on, let's say, Schoology, and it's right there.
And Rhonda Johnson, the password, I'm gonna move this real quick, is right there.
We can pull it up.
I kind of like pointing at it, sorry.
It's gone for y'all. Thank you for taking part.
You're doing good. Emily, what do you mean for your top one? Like my top EdTech tools or?
Just general tools for teachers. EdTech tools, yeah. I mean, like, Flipgrid,
EdPuzzle, Padlet, all of those. Jamboard is now approved in SciFair, so that's another good one.
Lucky.
I'm so excited. I saw it the other day, and I'm like, I'm just gonna mess with it. We're doing how-to videos. Do you have any tips for using breaks for students to stop and complete steps before moving on?
I like just saying pause now.
Yeah, and then that would be usually what I do is one of my questions or one of my comments would be, hey, make sure to go ahead and do this activity. And then they would have to type in a code. So my kids, for some reason, the word was always potato. No idea why. But once they were done doing the steps, they would type in potato and then move on. Kind of gives them that accountability. And makes it fun because it's a weird word.
I do like that idea. Well, we got about 30 seconds left. Kathy Hughes, amazing job presenting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Manny has obviously done a great job helping bring you up because, like, that is, I don't know if Manny could have done it better, honestly.
Tell that to Manny.
Bring him in the chat room. So with that being said, make sure you get the code. It is, again, right there. on the chat. There you see one of our techs in the background. Thank you so much. And I will see y'all later. We have one more session. If you want, we can come back here and we can watch this again. And as always, thank you for joining us at TCCA. We are so thankful. We are so appreciative for having y'all here. It's been a strange year, 2020 in a nutshell, honestly. But hey, we're moving through it. Thank y'all so much.